Both the S20 FE 5G and the iPhone 11 are selling around the same price, 40k. So I was curious to see how they stack up against each other. Also can be helpful for people who are confused between these two. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe, also like this video guys. Let's begin. Starting with the looks and design, the S20 FE is a bigger phone at 6.5 inches versus 6.1 inches on the iPhone 11. The S20 FE clearly looks taller because of that wider aspect ratio of 20:9. On the back though, you do have a plastic finish. It's called Glastic. It feels like a glass, but it is basically a plastic on the Samsung S20 FE, whereas iPhone 11 has that glass back and which really feels premium compared to the S20 FE. On the front you do have the punch hole versus the notch. The punch hole definitely feels less intrusive and looks better compared to the notch. Also on the bottom you do have similar bezel sizes, so none of these looks really great, but they both look decently good. Both of these have an aluminum frame around them, but overall in terms of build quality the iPhone 11 has an advantage because of that glass back. It feels a bit more premium. But apart from this, both of these support wireless charging. The S20 FE supports 15 watt wireless charging, whereas iPhone 11 is capped at 10 watt. But apart from this, both of these have that IP68 water rating, which is really great. Now looking at the display, the S20 has an advantage because of that higher refresh rate of 120Hz versus 60Hz on the iPhone 11. You can clearly notice the difference. Things definitely feel smoother on the S20 FE because of that higher refresh rate. When you are scrolling or opening and closing the apps, the animation feels just better, but smooth compared to the iPhone 11. Also the S20 has an AMOLED display with a better resolution, so things look a bit sharper because of that high density pixels. The iPhone 11 only has an LCD, but what's worse is it's not even full HD in terms of sharpness. When you're watching videos, things look a bit more vibrant and pop out, like the colors as you can see here, or the deeper blacks because of that AMOLED screen. But here I wouldn't really notice that sharpness difference. The sharpness or the lower pixel density comes into play when you are opening apps or browsing. You can see those images, they kind of don't seem to have the same sharpness as any phone that has a full HD, so you can clearly notice this side by side. So in terms of display, S20 definitely goes miles ahead. Now moving to the performance in terms of day-to-day practical usage, opening apps like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook or Amazon, Flipkart, you don't really find a lot of difference. Both of them are pretty snappy. There is very little negligible difference, which really doesn't matter all that much. But when you are talking about intensive things like gaming, you definitely have an advantage on the iPhone. But the iPhone has this issue with a prolonged period of gaming. The brightness drops, which I did not really notice on the S20 FE 5G or basically most of the Android phones. But in terms of frame rates, the iPhone feels a bit more consistent and smoother compared to the S20 FE overall. Now moving to the cameras, both of these have a pretty good camera setup. The S20 has this additional telephoto lens. Apart from that, they both have primary 12MP and wide-angle cameras. But in terms of the pure camera features like the single take or the pro video mode, where you can actually attach some external mics, that is something that you cannot do on the iPhone 11. So S20 goes ahead in terms of camera features. Now looking at some of the camera samples, the S20 seems to take more vibrant and saturated photos versus a bit more natural look on the iPhone 11. You can also see them side by side. It's a matter of which one you prefer, but when you look at the wide angle, I feel the iPhone 11 does it better because of that consistency and less color shift compared to the S20 FE. As you can see here side by side, notice the difference between the primary and wide angle in terms of colors. Also let's look at the dynamic range. This is taken facing the sun, and definitely iPhone 11 managed it better, as you can clearly see the sun and how it balanced other details as well. This is a low light shot where both of them did a pretty decently good job, but iPhone was brighter because of that longer shutter speed or the night mode. In terms of battery life, both of them offer pretty decent battery life, but S20 FE does last a bit longer, maybe about an hour extra. Even when you're gaming, it can last a bit more compared to the iPhone 11. So at this price, you cannot go wrong with either of these. It's just a matter of whether you want an Android phone or an iPhone around this price. So for a better display and a slightly better battery life, go for the S20 FE 5G, or go for the iPhone 11 for a better gaming experience along with a slightly better camera. So if you found this quick comparison helpful, do like this video, also subscribe. Thanks for watching guys, I'll see you soon.